So we are looking at number 1 right here and how we found these. So I want to start with, we graphed on our handy dandy graph paper. We graphed the points 2, 14, 7, 11, 11, 1, and 6, 4. Okay? I know it looks all crazy on there because we have all these triangles around the outside. Okay? So using these triangles, we used Pythagorean theorem. For example, this pink one on top, we did 5 squared plus 3 squared to find c squared, the length between h and I. And we found that h to I was 5.8, d to e was 5.8, I to d was 10.8, and e to h was 10.8. So opposite sides are the same. Not all 4 sides, opposite sides. Then we use this information to find the slopes. Again, if I transfer back to my graph, I can see that I went down 3 to the right 5. So that's negative 3 over 5 for HI. DE is the same, 3 over negative 5, that's the same thing. I to D, negative 5 over 2, and negative 5 over 2 for EH. So opposite sides have the same slope, they're parallel. Opposite sides are parallel. Okay, then we got confusing and we started drawing these triangles like in the middle of our triangle. Those are the diagonals. So the length of H to D is 15.8 and the length to I to E is 7.07. The slope from H to D is negative 13/9 and the slope from I to E is 7.1. So diagonals are not the same length and they're not perpendicular. All right? We found the midpoints of those diagonals. The midpoint of HD is 6.5, 7.5. And I to E is 6.5, 7.5. So we know that this first picture is of a parallelogram because opposite sides are congruent and parallel. The diagonals bisect and are not congruent and are not perpendicular. Okay, let's go ahead and move to number 2. And look, guys, I had Mr. B draw this one so you can see it better. Okay, if we look right here, we're drawing play. P is at 3.2. L is at 11.7. A is at 16.15. And Y is at 8.10. Okay. We found, using our beautiful graph right here, we found that the lengths of all the sides are the square root of 89. Right? Which the square root of 89 is... Anybody got it? What's the square root of 89? No? Come on, guys. I know some of you did this. So the square root of 89 is 9.4. So all of these are 9.4. Okay, then we found the slopes of all of them. PL and AY are both 5 over 8. LA and AP are both 8 over 5. Okay, so right here, all 4 sides are congruent. Number 3, opposite sides are parallel. Remember the little, when it looks like 11, it really means parallel sides. Okay. We found the lengths of the diagonals. Those look a little funny, and Mr. B drew the diagonals here. He drew A to P and Y to L separately on a separate graph. So you guys could really see that we could still figure out those distances. Okay? So we found that the distance from P to A is 13 square root 2, or 18.4. And the distance from L to Y is 4.2. And the slope of L to Y is -1. And the slope for P to A is 1. So right here, yes, ma'am.
Could you have done P to Y to A to L? Or is that...
P to Y is a side, so it's not a diagonal. So the diagonal should go straight through the middle. So that's why you have to do it that way. Does that make sense, Abby? Okay. So diagonals are not congruent, but are perpendicular. That little upside down T thing, that means perpendicular. Okay? The midpoints of PA and LY are both 9.5, 9.5. So this means the diagonals bisect. If the midpoints are the same, the diagonals bisect. Okay, so it is a rhombus because opposite sides are parallel, all sides are congruent, diagonals bisect each other, and diagonals are perpendicular. Okay? What is the same from figure 1 and figure 2? They both have opposite sides are congruent, and the diagonals both bisect. The difference is all 4 sides are congruent for this one, and the diagonals are perpendicular. So this is the differences, and this is common for parallelogram and rhombus. And this is differences for parallelogram and rhombus. Questions about number 2, because number 2 you had to do on your home for homework. Any questions about these? So I think the troubles are with diagonals, right? Does everybody feel pretty confident about A, B, and C? Anybody want to put their thumbs down? A, B, and C for these are hard. It's okay if they are. We can come around to help. Who feels like it gets really rough with D and E? D and E gets really rough? Yeah. Okay, do you see it one more time? I want to show you. I'm just going to put this below. Mr. B went through and he made the diagonals on a separate graph so he could see it better. So he literally plotted P and A again and Y and L, but instead of connecting them on the outsides, he connected P to A and L to Y. So then he could find those triangles and then go ahead and do his work to find the distances and the midpoints of them. So that might be something you need to do. Then instead of 6 pieces of graph, you need 12. So you can get a second graph paper up here if that works for you. Now when I did it, yesterday when I did number 1, I did it in the inside. But remember I said you don't have to graph like this each time, right? And count. You can just find them using the distance formula. Okay? And the slope formula and the midpoint formula. I personally really like it graphed. So if that works for you, you can try it my way. It gets real messy though. Or you can try it Mr. B's way. Okay? What's for homework tonight? What do you need to get accomplished? 3 and 4. So we should try to get 1 done in class today, right? Okay.